I have known that I wanted to be a baker or a cook since I was like 5.
Welcome back to another episode of Fireside Chat. I'm here with a very special guest, and in today's video we'll be talking about how to run a business, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, things of that nature. But before we get into that, let me introduce to you all my very special guest. She is a cook, a baker, a sewer, a sister, a friend, a roomie, a cat mom, a coach, and a business owner. I'll let her break down everything she has going on with her life and what's going on today. And until then, welcome Chanelle Molina.
Thanks, Will.
So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about what it's like running a business from her perspective, and let you guys know that it's not the easiest of things to do, but it is possible. So what I like to do with every episode is I like to ask my guests, how are you healing? And basically just kind of focus on what is self-care to you, what has helped you get to this point throughout your journey, or what are you practicing these days to just kind of keep you grounded or to work on yourself for self-improvement, things of that nature.
Yeah. The main thing that I do is write. I write a lot.
That's amazing.
Like a lot. And then when I'm not writing, it's an issue.
Oh,
It becomes an overwhelming situation where I'm just like, I don't even know what to do.
Oh, wow.
So like yesterday, I literally stopped. I was working on whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot move forward without writing what I need to write. And then it all was completely fine after.
I love, and you've been writing for quite some time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Since
I was really
young.
little. Yeah.
I love that. So before we dive deep into this conversation, let the people know what you're currently doing today, and then we'll take it back to how the beginning, and we'll kind of just unravel how we got to where you are today.
Okay.
We'll try to keep it light. We only have so much time, guys,
right.
But let the people know what you're doing today, what you're working on, and where they can find you.
Just launched chanelletmolina.com.
Nice.
Which will have a few digital products on there. An e-booklet called Let's Make Some Awesome Cookies.
I love cookies.
Who doesn't love cookies?
Who doesn't?
Right?
Comment below your favorite cookie right now. And then go to her website, chanelletmolina.com. I love that. Alignment.
I've also launched a podcast.
Oh.
Called Dear 16-Year-Old Me. And it is basically reliving the old journal entries from when I was a kid. It starts when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Hence the Dear 16-Year-Old Me. But I've been writing since I was 9.
Amazing. I mean, if I look back at 16-year-old me now, like
who
what
I was. What would you even say? What would you warn them?
Oh my God. This is about you, not me. This episode is not about me, guys. See how she tried to flip it?
Sorry.
This would have been a whole different episode if I got to talking. I would just tell my 16-year-old self to truly know what boundaries are and to learn about money. I'll leave it at that. Stay tuned to Fireside Chat because we will be getting into all of those things in later episodes, and I will definitely be having Chanelle back on the show as well. So anyway, back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not about me, guys. So you have your website, your podcast, and you have another project in the pipeline, but how can they find out about that when it does launch?
If you go to chanelletmolina.com, you can sign up for the newsletter.
It's that easy, guys. It's that easy. So make sure you sign up for her newsletter so you can be updated immediately and find out what this amazing project is going to look like. Let's dive a little bit. Let's go back. So now we know what you're doing today, but let's find out, like, how did you get here? I want to focus on, like, what was your first experience or model of business in a sense? Like, what was your first influence? Like, what influenced that in your life? But let's also take it back to childhood and, like, how that's impacting you today.
Okay. Well, initially, it wasn't childhood that made me want to start a business. It was injury.
Wow.
I got hurt at work And then I got carpal tunnel in both hands.
Okay.
And after those surgeries, I didn't think anybody would hire a baker that was like fresh out of surgery.
Oh my God.
And I was like, fine. I'm just going to do it myself then.
So
it was basically out of necessity.
Yeah.
You need to make money. And I wanted to be a bread baker, which is what I was. High volume bread.
Okay.
And I had no hands to do that.
Wow.
And if I were to do it in a different way and like actually do what I wanted to do, I would have made no money. Like,
interesting.
Because bread, how am I going to say this?
There's no bread in making bread.
Yes, exactly.
That's what she's trying to say. There's no bread in making bread. And although it's not always about money, you still have to think about, how am I going to pay the bills?
Right.
And that's just the unfortunate reality of living in this current state of time. But
so I did custom cakes.
Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit before that. You went to school for this.
Yes.
And when you were a kid, did you want to be a baker or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so were you baking in the house a lot? Yeah. Like, did you have an easy bake oven?
That's where the 5 years old.
Okay.
I have known that I wanted to be a baker or a cook since I was like 5.
Wow. It
was the only job. Anytime my uncle would always ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? A chef or a waitress. I wanted to be a waitress too. So I would practice like bringing cups, like full cups out.
Oh my God. I love that. Yeah, so we grew up in a generation where this toy called an Easy Bake Oven was, it was like this mini microwave where you could bake and...
It was a light bulb that cooked very small amounts of batter and dough.
Yeah.
Light bulb.
And it was in those moments where you realized you either wanted to stick with it or not do that ever again.
Right.
And I had one when I was a kid and I did not have that same experience. I knew when my brownie came out as mush that it was not my destiny. So
I could have helped you.
Had I known her at 5.
Brownies at
Dang
5.
it.
You could have been a baker.
I could have been a baker.
You could have changed your life.
We could have been figuring out how to get bread from making bread.
Right.
Dang it. All right. So anyway, you are a child and you know exactly what you want to do, which is amazing. Because not every kid...
I definitely think it's rare.
It's very rare, and not every child is able to fulfill their childhood dream.
Right.
And of course, as we grow and we get older, we become a little jaded, and injuries, things of that nature happen. So, but you were able to pivot through that and see the other side of that versus just giving up completely.
Right.
So
I think you have choices, and giving up was not one of them, honestly.
I love that.
I had huge student loans that I had to pay off.
Yes,
that had to get done somehow, but I still wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough that my situation personally allowed me to do that. Super grateful and privileged.
For sure. For sure. So, what school did you go to? I'm curious how you got there. Was it straight out of high school?
Culinary school? No.
Okay. So let's talk about that journey, because when we're kids, for me right now, I'm trying to visualize and manifest things, and I thought about it. I was like, this is just me using my imagination. And just now I have the resources and the agency to just make things happen. So let's backtrack. You did not go to culinary school right out of high school.
No.
In high school, did you still want to be a chef, a baker, things of that nature? That was still...
Yeah, I took 4 years of culinary arts.
Okay.
In high school.
Okay, great. But then you did not pursue it right out of college.
No. Out of high school, I didn't.
I'm sorry, out of high school, you did not pursue that. Yeah. Considering, now you've been living with this dream and this goal for 18 years, or at least 15. And you didn't do it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but it was definitely a lesson learned in not wasting. And I don't think I wasted my time in the 2 years that because things happened in those 2 years that needed to happen before I went to school. I had to be serious about my investment, because it's like 50 plus grand to go to a private culinary school.
It's a big choice. It's a big financial decision that our young selves are just not prepared to make.
Yeah. And it's crazy that they allow 18-year-olds to enter these student loans, sign on the dotted line, a 50 grand loan.
Right. Anyway,
that's for another
that's a whole different episode, which we will get. We'll definitely touch on that. Right. But for now, the journey. Yeah. We're talking about the journey to where we are today. Graduated high school, adulthood enters, reality sinks in, bills need to be paid, family friend dynamics change, all of that. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on in that moment, or?
No, just that I went to recording arts school. That's where I went first after high school. Basically.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that's a point that I think is important to touch on, is that life is not this like linear experience. And sometimes we go off path, but I truly believe it will eventually, if you desire something bad enough, you'll find your way back.
Yeah, no, I knew I knew that I was gonna go to culinary school. What I didn't do prior, what I ended up doing prior, and that's why I went to LMC to do the recording arts program, is I needed to figure out how to get the experience in a kitchen before I invested that amount of money. Yeah. So had I just jumped into culinary school and gotten that experience, I wouldn't have had actual work experience. Right. And understanding that I could, what is the saying? If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, or something like that. I had to know that I could take the heat. Right. Because it's not an easy job. It's super laborious in any part of the kitchen. It's intense, it's high stress, it's a lot of pressure. I had to know that I could do that. So that's when I went to work for Disney after LMC. Okay. And got that experience. Okay. So I did the recording arts thing. That was super fun. Yeah. And I learned a lot, which is how I can have a podcast and not record it on my phone. Right.
You understand the ins and outs. You have that experience. Okay. You moved to Florida. Yeah. Right? And this was 2 or 3 years after.
2 years after high college. School. Yeah. I had just finished the recording arts program. Okay. When I got accepted into the college program. Okay. So you have to be in college to apply for the program in Florida at Disney. Okay. And then you can either earn college credit. I didn't need the college credit. I was already done, but it was you still had to be enrolled to
be qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're working. Yeah. Now this is your first real
kitchen job. Yeah.
And this is your schooling and work as well?
No, this was before I signed up for school even. Okay. Because
you still needed the training.
I wasn't doing it.
So you weren't doing it simultaneously.
No,
you broke it up.
Yeah, okay. I did the program, decided yes, I could do school, invest in that. Yes. And then I worked at Disney again and went to school at the same time. Okay.
Once again, not linear. Right. We all have different paths, but she stayed on course. Yeah. She still knew she wanted to do this line of work, and it took her across the country. Yeah. For how long again?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. Was it at this time that you got injured, or?
No. I was literally 6 months after school, after I graduated.
Oh, wow. Okay. Talk about timing.
Yeah. No.
And that, and that happens to a lot of people, especially professional athletes. Yeah. And, you get to that point where you can taste the finish line. And then something just throws you off course.
That's why I feel like I relate to Brandon Belt so much, because he kept getting pulled up and then dropped back down. And I'm like, poor Brandon Belt.
I know. It's tough, and especially injuries that affect your entire livelihood. And at this point, you're just like, I need to get in the kitchen. I need to grind. I need to make sure this is compatible for me. And then you fulfill all those things. Yeah. So then you have to pivot. Yeah. And was the pivot an immediate realization, Or was it in time?
It was a lot of time.
A lot of time.
It was a lot of time because I was in physical therapy for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
They wouldn't even... I was on disability for 2 years because of the whole... you can't do both surgeries at the same time. So, yeah, it was like a long period of time, and I had a lot of time to, like, think about what was actually possible.
Right.
Because at the very beginning of that, I was like, I'm never going to bake again.
Right.
In the capacity that I wanted.
Yeah. Let's touch on that just really quickly.
Yeah.
How did you reconcile that in your mind that this lifelong dream of mine may no longer be a reality for me? Because a lot of people, myself included, I tend to get in my own way or give up on an idea, or I'll put it to the side and never come back to it. So in those moments, like, what was keeping you motivated or inspired, or were you not? You know what I mean?
A lot of the times I just never gave myself that choice to not do it.
Yeah.
I just had to figure out a way that I was going to be able to do it. So it was never like, I don't think that I'm ever going to do it. I just had to figure out how it was going to happen for me.
Yeah.
And if it was going to happen for me in a way that because if it wasn't going to be what I wanted, then, or like close, I can compromise.
Yeah.
I can do that. But like, if it was going to be, not at all, I just was going to pivot a different way completely.
And would you say that you had the tools to do that? Or were you just like focused, like, I got to make it happen no matter what? And just figuring it out, like, step for step.
Yeah, it was a lot of just Googling how to make
trial
it official.
and error. Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah, hours and hours of trying to figure out how to make it legal and whatever.
All of that.
Yeah.
There are so many steps when it comes to starting a business, as we are both learning currently. But in her journey, over what I'd say the last decade.
Yeah.
Of
this is 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. Would you say the process has gotten a little easier?
No. Not at all. It's honestly gotten harder because I'm finding the holes that I created in my business. Because of the shortcuts that I took. And now I'm circling back and making it. One of our, I like to call her my online mentor. Yeah.
Our business mother, or Nicole Walters, actually just posted a quote similar to that. Like, Nicole said, "Eventually you will have to come back and do the steps you've skipped. There are no shortcuts to the best outcomes." And that's real.
Yeah.
I mean, just listening to your journey of schooling and working, injury, having to pivot, take another direction and reevaluate everything.
Yeah. There was a lot of reevaluating over the years. Even halfway through Just Stick a Fork in It, I was like, do I have the capacity to do this? Are my hands gonna be able to do this for the long haul? I think that it's a huge part of me personally to reassess every 5 years.
Okay.
Just in general, do I still want to do this?
Yeah.
Is there some way that I can change it so it still fulfills me as well as whoever I'm helping?
That's huge.
And I did the math, and it's about 5 years every time.
Okay, for you, yeah.
For me personally.
Right.
Yeah. I am not meant to do the same thing every single day of my life.
That's major.
And I think it's been the reason I take contract work so much and so like seriously, because I can focus on the one thing for whatever period of time and then I can move on.
Yeah.
And it might be like I might have ADD and not know it or something.
I ask myself that all the time. Is there a test? Is there a quiz?
Like, I feel like I'm a focused person and I can like...
In spurts.
Yeah.
In spurts. Whether it's a 5-year spurt or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I can be laser focused.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of that, I find myself like wandering and just... Anyway.
Right.
That's probably a whole other video.
Right.
If any therapists want to talk to me, call me. Call her too, because we need help.
Right.
Okay, you brought up Just Stick a Fork in It.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because as long as I've known you, which is, I'd say over a decade, almost 15, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
We literally grew up together.
Yeah.
I've known you half my life.
That's nuts. And we're just now having this conversation on camera.
On camera.
But I want to talk about Just Stick a Fork in It, because at the time, what year did you start that?
2010 or 2011.
11. Yeah, so 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
So 10 years ago, you know, I heard you started this business, and then I'm seeing you being active in it. It was very inspiring to me, as at that time 2011 was a rough year for me in general. And at that point, I just wanted to start doing different things. I just didn't know how to get out of my situation. So when I saw you doing that, it kind of like this, it was dim, but a light bulb went off in my brain where I was just like, okay. Yeah, because I didn't know that many business owners that weren't like Amazon or, you know, like these big grand corporate names. I didn't know anyone on the smaller business end of things, or, you know, like from the kitchen, from my home kitchen to wherever. You know, I didn't know that many people. You were one of the first people I saw doing something like that. And
you were one of my first customers, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Shout out, Lil.
Honestly, other than my aunt's red velvet cake, no one has ever compared to the red velvet cake she had made for my family one time. Or maybe it was a cupcake. Yeah. I think it was cupcakes, right?
Like mini cupcakes.
Mini cupcakes. Like, it's all about the cake for me. Because the frosting, in a way, tends to disguise when a cake is bad. But her cake was good, you guys. And I'm very picky about red velvet. And to me, it's her. That's the standard. Is yours and my aunt's. So anyway, how did you come up with that business model and that plan and that name? And would you consider it at the time a success or a failure even? You know what I mean? Like what was at the time in 2011, let's say the next 3 years, what was Just Stick a Fork in It for you? I know I just asked you 50 different questions.
I was like trying to get.
So how did you start? Just Stick a Fork in It. Let's start with that.
Okay. All of my ideas ever in life have come to me at like 3 a.m. At a point where I was like just exhausted. So the day that I decided to start a business, I had thought about what was possible, what wasn't possible.
Right.
And honestly, I think I had applied for like one job after my surgeries and after my therapy and everything. Yeah. And even applying for that job made me like, I was like, no.
Did not sit well with your spirit.
Right. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do it, but I don't want to do it. It was literally just going through the motions of like applying for jobs that I didn't want.
Right.
And I was like, let me just do it myself then. So Jashawn was actually, she, even still today on Facebook, it says that she's my silent partner for Just Stick a Fork in It.
That's her sister.
Yeah, sorry. And she was one of the first, she was the person who like invested in the business. So she like bought my first pans. I had like pans from forever ago, like random size, but you know, you need cupcake tins. And, you know, so she's the first person to like help me
realize this dream of yours. Yeah. Okay. And then how long after that did you start booking clients? Like what?
Oh, immediately. I put it out. Oh, so I had come up with the name. You probably voted on it.
I did. I remember there was like a poll or something on Facebook.
Yeah. I originally wanted stickaforkinit.com. That was taken. And I had like 15 names that I threw a poll on Facebook, and Just Stick a Fork in It won. Yeah. The second one was something Jashawn came. I don't even remember like what it was, but she's the one who like always comes up with the fun names or whatever. Yeah.
No, and it stood out, and it's something that we say, you know, as a saying, and, you know, just stick a fork in it. Or like, and
I think mine had like a little attitude to it, like just stick a fork in it.
Yeah.
Just do it already because it needs to be done.
Yeah. Which is a theme in itself.
Right.
I would say throughout this whole journey of starting a business, and not just starting a business, but maintaining it, growing it, reestablishing it, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Sometimes you just have to stick a fork in it and just like get to it.
Yeah.
Get the stuff done. And what would you say is the biggest lesson you learned from the just stick a fork in it journey, early days, that you're carrying with you today into your current ventures and businesses?
How to set boundaries, honestly, because I think there's like, how do you say it?
Boundaries. I said that earlier.
Yeah.
It's a big theme,
a huge thing business wise to set boundaries, because you want to say yes to every single thing.
And you don't want to disappoint.
Right.
It's ingrained. It's a cultural thing. It's a woman thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you want to be as available for people as possible. Not only because a lot of your clients are starting out, are your friends and are your family, but also like financially, you want to stack your dough.
Yes.
And that leads to burnout. That leads to resentment. And, you know, in the end, I'm like, I'm not going to resent you because you asked me to make something for you. Or,
no, but you begin to resent the work.
Yeah.
You begin to resent how many actual steps it takes to do the tiniest job.
Yeah.
Right?
This happened the other day, actually.
It's an ongoing cycle. I think.
And now, like even now, it's still people think that it doesn't take as many steps, and then they don't value the amount of steps that it actually takes to get you that cupcake.
Exactly. And that's why I want to have these types of conversations, because I want to provide an inside view into what it actually takes. And it isn't just, I have an idea, now I'm selling a product.
Right.
That's A and Z. And even...
There's 26 letters in between, or 24 letters in between those two.
Right. So you still have B through Y.
Oh, good job, you.
I know, I had to think about it. But even within B has its own set of category steps and categories that are required in itself before you even can get to C. Or it's a thing. It's a whole thing, and Just Stick a Fork in It still lives today. Yeah. Correct? And you've launched your podcast. And what is your website again?
chanelletmolina.com.
Go there today, sign up for the newsletter, listen to her podcast, stay tuned for many announcements soon come. So let's get into what you're doing today. Was there anything you wanted to touch on before we talk about what's going on today? And
mainly that it's just another pivot. Still sticking with stuff that I know, but also who else can I help?
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to, is making people's lives easier. What do I have that can make your life easier? And I feel like the consulting is definitely gonna help people and help for their lives.
Yeah, no, and just
like
create
just
this generation of more business owners, more chefs or bakers, or maybe there's someone in the baking industry that doesn't want to do it anymore and wants to get into the business side of things, you know. So there's a lot of different avenues that this journey can take us, but where you are today is amazing. I think you've made a lot of progress.
Thanks, Will.
I know between the both of us, we were both, I don't want to say we're,
oh, no.
We are a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to running a business, there are a million steps. And what was it this time that made you more serious about running your businesses versus, you know, we were in our 20s, we didn't, you know, you had the idea, you had the business, but now, like, why are you elevating? Like, why do you want to level up in this and do a podcast and do these other projects?
I just feel like it's time. If anything, it's just time. It's I've hit now it's 10 years. And I just feel like now's the time to, especially because stuff has become virtual.
Yes.
This whole pandemic situation has created this whole virtual world that existed, but it wasn't a huge necessity.
Yes.
And I think making things digital or virtual or whatever, the reach is so much wider now.
Absolutely.
Because I can't deliver cupcakes across the world. I mean, you could, but it might be gross. But like, the amount of people that I can help is so much more vast than, just Brentwood.
Right.
The Bay Area.
Right.
Or
right.
wherever I've traveled to do weddings, it's not just there anymore.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's the biggest point of a business, is fulfilling a void. And you've said the word help multiple times. And whether we realize it or not, we're going to be helping people in some way, shape, or form. And through that, you've created this consulting aspect of your business. So what is that looking like for you moving forward?
Well, the e-booklet is the first, what's the word? Impression.
Okay.
Like your first impression. If you get this ebook, you like the way I taught it to you, then let's work together. What else can I make easier for you in general? Cooking wise, baking wise, whatever. How can I build your confidence in the kitchen?
I love that, because I have zero in the kitchen.
Like, can you hold a knife?
Probably not. To be honest, there's probably a certain way I'm supposed to hold a knife, and I don't know how to do that. Which is amazing, because I feel like I don't know anyone doing anything like this. If I truly wanted to, I'd probably be exhausted just doing a bunch of Google searches. And now that I know that you're doing, I mean, I've known, but now that I'm aware that you have this, business and this service, which is available at
chanelletmolina.com.
chanelletmolina.com. That's amazing. So what are the steps people need to take? What is step one when they reach out to you, like, hey, Chanelle, I want to learn how to bake because I want to have baking time with my kids once a month. What do I do? Like,
so the first thing you'll do is go to my website and then chanelletmolina.com and book a discovery call.
Okay. So once we have a discovery call, and I'm like, yo, I like this. I think this is going to be a fit. You feel the same way. Then what happens after that?
Yeah, so we'll move on to the strategy call. So in between the discovery call and the strategy call is when I will put together everything that you're going to need for our strategy call.
Okay.
Did I say that right? Everything between the discovery call and the strategy call. I'll put together everything that you need to make the strategy call successful.
I love that.
So whether it's baking cookies, whether it's making a cake, or cooking dinner for your kids, I'll have your grocery list, your formula, which is like the recipe and the directions.
Nice.
And then anything else, the tools that you're going to need, whatever, to make it.
Hello? Feel free to stop this video right now and book your discovery call, because I'm about to end this video and even though I'm right in front of her, I want to go on her website and book a call, okay? I love that. And then you mentioned an ebook.
Yes, ma'am.
So why an ebook? Why did you decide to do that? And does it cost money? How do I access this ebook? How do people get it? Because I'm ready to just throw all my money. Like, here, just take it.
The ebooklet started because I wanted to make something available for somebody that didn't just give you the recipe.
Yes.
And didn't just give you general directions. If you need to know why your cookies are flat, that's the ebook to get, or the ebooklet to get. If you need to know, it's the why behind why they tell you to melt the butter, or why they tell you to measure dry ingredients the way you're supposed to, or why you pack your brown sugar when you measure it. Why do you do those things?
This is lingo I was not aware of. Wow. Okay.
It's all the behind the scenes stuff
Yeah.
that you need to know, because going forward, when you look at a recipe next time, you'll know, oh, that's why it's that way. And
Okay.
to ensure that it's successful. So you've made something from a recipe, I'm sure, at some point. And no? All right.
I'm like the one person, and that was
Like,
probably a terrible
okay,
reference.
never mind.
I've seen people do it.
Right.
I've seen people cook.
But you've seen it done
unsuccessful.
unsuccessfully.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, this recipe doesn't work.
Yes, they blame the recipe instead of looking at
There's
themselves.
so many
Yeah.
factors into why that didn't work for you that had nothing to do with the recipe.
Yeah.
Is your oven the right temperature? Is it even baking at 325 when it's supposed to bake at 325?
So it's like the simplest tweaks and adjustments that aren't being explained properly.
Right.
And
That's always
you are
bugged me.
providing that ebook to people to just simplify their lives. And I love that. I love it. So people can get this ebook right now, right?
Yeah. At chanelletmolina.com.
Okay. So get the ebook,
you'll
book a
have
session.
Right. You'll have two choices. The ebooklet just on its own. And then there will be another choice to get the ebooklet plus a video tutorial on top.
Love that.
So if you need the two things, that's totally available for you.
Look at that. Prepared, ready, a business owner. Okay, guys? So now I want to segue into your podcast, which I'm very excited about because it's a topic that 16 is such a pivotal age.
Yeah.
It's you're not quite an adult, but you're definitely not a child.
Right.
And it's a point in all of our lives where we're starting to experiment more. We're starting to be more curious or unsure of ourselves. You know, we take everything so seriously and personally.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those traits and those triggers carry on into our adulthood. And we don't realize why we react certain ways. It's because we didn't go back and have that 5-year check-in or have that 1-year check-in or weekly, monthly check-in, whatever it is that you need to do. We've just been going and never really stopping to look back. And it could have been an isolated incident that occurred that we haven't thought about since we were 16 that is causing me to react in a negative way. Or even a positive way, but mostly negative.
Yeah.
And it's causing friction within, you know, my current relationships with people in my life. So let's talk about the podcast. Where did you get the idea from?
3 a.m. randomly. I was writing and how do I explain it?
So you have one of the journals here with us.
Yeah. Do you want to see
We
it?
don't have to go in. We don't have to read it.
No, it's fine.
And if you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, no, I can show
Just to get
you
an
it.
idea of what she was working with at 16, guys. So, that's how you do that on YouTube.
Put your...
But there are quotes in the back.
Straight millennial.
Very...
kid.
What was this, like 2000?
This is
Oh,
2000.
copyright 2000.
Yeah.
So just imagine the time in your life if you are currently in your 30s, maybe late 20s. This
feel
is
like
a
a lot of
common.
people-
This is a
yeah.
common thing. You know,
Quarter
stickers,
machine stickers, which
Yes.
don't even exist anymore, I feel.
CD stickers.
Yeah.
CD stickers. Like people
I
don't
was-
buy CDs anymore. Buttons.
My Vans sigh.
Yeah. So you are taking. You have all of your old journals
Yeah.
from back then.
Yeah.
Current, like with you.
Yeah.
And you are. You've turned it into a podcast.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That was a vulnerable moment, guys. Let's give her a round of applause. But speaking of vulnerable, this podcast
Yeah.
is something that
Never something that I thought I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, when you hear it, you'll understand why I never shared it with anybody. And even now, like when I talk about the episode or the entries, I'm like, I didn't think anybody would ever read that except for me.
Right.
So there's stuff in there that I didn't even explain to myself.
Wow.
Because I'm the only one that was ever going to read it. Obviously, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
But that's how much stuff is in there that I thought would never be read. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know, again, there's somebody that will probably be able to relate.
Definitely.
Somebody that will probably understand, like, as an adult, forgiving yourself as a 16-year-old kid for not knowing any better.
Yeah.
Or reacting in a specific way that you thought at the time was appropriate.
Yeah.
And then you realize now it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
But like hormones, like puberty, there's reasons.
There's so many reasons.
I'm not
Whatever's
saying
going on in your
excuses.
household. It's,
Right. Excuses, but reasons.
And it was your reality.
Yeah.
It was your reality. It was, you know, your life.
And that's something that it's hard to like go back into that mindset and like understand what I was actually going through as an adult now. It's been like really hard to like read stuff and like, and that's why it's taken, I mean, you know how long it's taken to record 4 or 5 episodes.
Right.
A very long time.
Right.
And it's because I have to sit in it and then create the reflection and then put that all together in like a cohesive thought.
Right.
And
So there are levels to success, and your attention to detail and wanting this, because you are giving a huge part of yourself to the world, essentially. Like you're opening a door or a big window into your life for people to look at and judge.
And if I think about it that way, I'll never do it.
Exactly.
The anxiety that comes with the judgment.
Exactly.
I have to like remove myself from that and understand that somebody probably needs to hear it, whether it's a teenager, whether it's an adult, whether it's somebody older.
Exactly.
Or in the end, if nobody listens to it, it's still something that I will have as part of my legacy and something that is my audio archives of my teenage years and beyond. Like
I love that.
I'll definitely, it won't just be at 16. It just happened to start there.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It'll be, I mean, until now probably.
You know, and that's amazing because healing is so important, especially at our age now, in our mid-30s. I won't disclose exactly where in that range or in that age range we are at, but it's important to just start the healing process if you haven't already done so. And I feel like this is going to be a big part of that for you.
Yeah.
And
not one time in my whole life did I think podcasting was going to be a thing. Ever. If anything, this was going to be a book or a book of short stories or
and it still
whatever.
can be.
Yeah, no,
you know, I think you just have to start.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to just stick a fork in it.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Even though like you're not done, you're just getting started.
Right.
You know, it's a constant evolution and just an investment in yourself, essentially. So,
and I found a book that I started to write in like literally, I think I told you about it before.
Yeah.
I was in a class and I was like, I'm going to start writing a book. And it was like a list of things. And I found it in here that I hadn't looked at in 20 years.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so it was always something that I could have probably done. That I just put a pin in for the moment.
Yeah.
Until I can go back to it.
Until you were ultimately ready. And we're not, that's the other thing. It's like, you're not going to be fully ready for anything.
Yeah.
You can just take the steps to be as prepared as possible for those moments. And is there anything else you would like to share with the audience? What was your website again?
chanelletmolina.com.
Go there. So we got the website, we got the podcast, we have more projects coming in the pipeline. Is there any advice you can give to someone at this time that just a few words of encouragement.
One thing that, and it's totally a Lovey thing.
Shout out to Lovey Ajayi Jones.
Like,
go read her book, The Fear Fighters Manual.
My goodness. I bought one of her books to give away. And it's signed and everything.
Oh, nice.
And I just need more people to read it because they need to understand that it's okay to take up space. You're in it. Every what's the word? Every type of business is always like super saturated, or you think everybody's doing the same thing, or you know, you can't do it because somebody else is already doing it. No.
See how many different bottles of water there are in the fridges at the store?
Exactly.
Yeah. Take up space. I love that.
Take up space.
I love that.
And take it unapologetically, because why not? Honestly.
Why not?
Why not?
I love that. I love that so much.
It's so empowering to take something that you actually love and do it. Something that you didn't think was going to happen, and then you just do it. Like,
that brings me to the last segment of the show, and for anyone that is still watching, thank you so much. Drop a thumbs up emoji into the comments. I truly appreciate your time. We value and respect it to the utmost power. But anyway, this is the last segment of the show, and I'm calling it the Fiyah 5. And it's going to be 5 things, but for each guest it's going to be different. In this particular episode, I wanted Chanelle to give me 3 outrageous goals she wants to set for herself, for her business, as well as 2 outrageous goals she wants for her personal life. So, take it away.
The first one is this is business-wise, is to somehow collaborate with Disney. Because the Scrunchie subscription is Disney-based. Okay. For the most part. Okay. So, in any, I don't know what capacity that would be in. Okay. But I need to work either with Disney or for Disney.
Disney. Again. Do you see the backdrop? We are in her home currently. Do you see Disney? I'm saying she's about this life. So if anyone from Disney is watching this, right, or if you know anyone at Disney, call her, email her, go to her website. I'm about it. She's about that life. Yeah.
I mean, I did the program.
She's not new to this. She's true to this.
15 years ago now. Sheesh. And it's still, I've done other things, obviously, but it still comes back to working for them or with them in some sort of capacity.
Okay, great. So we have Disney. And then
I also this was another collaboration with MeUndies. Have you heard of them?
I have.
I just love them so much.
MeUndies, where you at?
Dude, I'm wearing this is MeUndies.
Oh my god.
This romper is MeUndies.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. We're all about that cozy life.
Yes. So I need to, what would really be fun for me is to make something with their fabric.
Oh, okay.
That would be,
I like that. Like, very specific.
Ultimate, yeah.
I love that.
And I mean, in any way to work with them because they're such a good company. Yes. That's what I want to do. Okay. Honestly, I would take it however.
Yeah. So we're just putting it out there. So we got Disney, MeUndies, and then 3rd outrageous goal for your business.
To work with Christina Tosi on some sort of product. Okay. Because I feel like we align a lot in the same, like, nostalgic creations. Okay. Even when I was in culinary school, people would be putting together, like, these really, and no hate, like, no shade at all, putting together the most outrageous things. But Christina Tosi is very, like, and she does some outrageous stuff, which I appreciate. Yeah. But it's also very nostalgic at the same time. Okay. So I was doing, like, odes to the smoothie and, like, you know, banana split cakes type stuff. Okay. Because that's the classic stuff that I like. Right. That you can, like, make, you can elevate it, but also have the comfort of, you know what a banana split tastes like. Right. Dope.
All right. I love that.
Yeah.
So We got all three now. 2 personal goals that you are willing to share with our audience today that you want to also just manifest and put out into the world and make it real.
I want to own property.
Yes. Same.
I want to own property like with a backyard so I could have like animals and gardens and stuff.
Ooh. Okay.
Just a cottage. Just let me get a cottage somewhere in California.
We're manifesting it.
Yeah.
We're putting it out there. It's becoming real.
Yes.
So, okay. Land, cottage. That's an investment. Money.
Yeah.
You know, it's
for sure.
And then
it seems outrageous now, but I want to be debt free.
Yes.
I want to be debt free personally so I can run a debt free business.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
It always comes back enough. I feel like it's pretty outrageous.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think just saying it out loud is an outrageous act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like admitting it and sharing it publicly, because now it's made it a little bit more real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
this is going to be the Tabitha Brown video.
Yeah.
You're going to cut this in 5 years. And
exactly.
I did that.
Exactly. So,
so
we will check back on Chanelle's timeline in 5 years when she checks in with herself and her business again. Right. And see if any of these things have manifested, the growth of her podcast, of her businesses, her consulting business at
chanelletmolina.com.
Yes. And where can people find you on social media, and besides your website, which is chanelletmolina.com?
Yep.
But Instagram?
Chanelle T Molina.
All right. Is that the best? Do you have it? You have your podcast. What's the name of the podcast?
Dear 16-Year-Old Me. It's on Apple, Spotify, every major platform, and it'll be on YouTube also. The audio will be on YouTube if you don't want to download the applications.
I love that. And just join her email newsletter list so you can stay in tune with what she's working on. Follow her on social media. Listen to her podcast. Drop a comment, let her know like what you loved, if you could relate to anything, engage, tell a friend. And any final words that you want to share, or?
I think that's it. Thank you for listening to this. Holy crap.
We went in, you guys. Like, this was supposed to be like a 15-minute,
right,
20-minute max video. But we are approaching, I think, the hour mark.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. This was a conversation that I've wanted to have for actually many years. It's just taken me time to get out of my own way and just take the initiative and do it. So I thank you for your time. You're doing amazing work. Keep on doing it.
You too, Lil.
Thank you. And hit that subscribe button, follow us, all of that. Everything will be in the description below. I appreciate you. We're in this together, and join us for another episode of a Fireside Chat when I post it. Peace.